I worked for the company Trader Joe's for about 10 years. They they were at one point a very good company. You know, top 100 retailer. I'm pretty sure they were top 10, maybe even 2 at one point, maybe even 1 at one point. I can't remember. I want to say yes, they did win top retailer in about 2018 or 2017. But wow, has that changed. And, you know, from a store that started off when I was there, I worked there from 2012 to about 2021. I worked there from 2012 to 2021. So just shy of 10 years. You know, that company promoted integrity very, very strongly. They had, I think, 8 values or 10 values. I can't remember. That's how long it's been since they actually talked about them. But they always stood by integrity, and that was like the final verdict for most things. Like, you know, if you were getting an interview, trying to become a new team member or new employee, and they asked you a question that was underlined about integrity, and you fail that question or you lack integrity, they would probably not hire you. It was a place where you could not talk politics or religion, you know, on the sales floor. You could do it in the back room, or, you know, with another buddy of yours or another employee that enjoyed talking about it, but you better not let any customer hear about it, because that was a big no-no. A company that I saw very little turnover also while I was there. You know, I worked in a lot of retail stores, so you see the turnover rate's pretty high in most places, but not on Trader Joe's. They were, you know, you had people that were there 15, 16 years, people there 20, 30 years, you know, 20 at least. Because it was a really enjoyable atmosphere, as crappy of a retail store as it is. You know, nobody wants to work in retail, but if you have to, that wasn't a bad place to work up until 2019, because they always promoted individuality, and, you know, they wanted you to not be, you know, they want leaders there. They wanted leaders up until a certain point. They really promoted leaders, because it's a small store and you got to take on responsibility, and you don't want to ask the manager what to do every 5 seconds. So that's what the company was up until 2019. After the mandates started happening, and, you know, the masks started coming into play, and then I'll say the sticker, which would be the shot, you know, whatever you want to call it. I'll call it the sticker. As soon as the sticker started coming into play, you know, things shifted big time. If you were not, yeah, it sucks to not be able to talk freely, but if you didn't get the sticker and you were an employee there, you were considered a lesser individual. And, you know, they could say that wasn't the case, but that was the case. No doubt did everybody treat you like a, you know, basically like a lower class citizen. And that was coming from a place that would never do that prior to 2019. And it was like such a shift of mentality. Like, and then nobody even said a word about it. They weren't even talking about it. They just basically, it is what it is. And that's the answer I kept hearing all the time. It is what it is. When when the mandates started happening, they hid behind it's a public or it's a privately owned company and they could do whatever they want to do. When, that's not the case. You cannot, these mandates were laws, as many people know. Anyone that's watching this hopefully would understand that a mandate is not a law, and you cannot make unlawful restrictions to a public, area. Even though it's a privately owned company, it's open to the public, and every citizen has a right to enter that facility. And wearing a mask is not, these mandates were done so strategically to where these companies, had no idea what they were doing. They had no idea what they were doing. And it showed because, it was mind-boggling to me that, people above me, like my higher-ups, the managers and the, people above him and them, knew so much less than many of us understood, They kept hiding behind the science, and, I don't know how many times within that first couple months I heard, we're just going to flatten the curve and then we'll get past it. That was quite a curveball because, it's still going. So that's 2 years of flattening a curve, which I wish they would have understood at that point that it was very silly to even think that, that was what we were doing. Flattening a curve that never existed in the first place and is still apparently happening. But, so we, at that company we started, and I know this is many companies, I know this is not specific to just the people at Trader Joe's. I know it's far worse, and other places did mandate certain things. I know a lot of places you had to have the sticker to work, and that's just unacceptable if you ask me. Especially because, the people that were getting it only were doing it so they could travel and, just not lose freedoms. They had nothing to do with health. You can't make a health decision based off of, what freedoms you're going to lose or not. But the things I saw a company go from, we're going to go the extra mile for any type of question or customer or anything any customer needs, to kicking customers out of the store and making them wait in the cold rain or the snow because that was a healthier decision than letting them in the nice warm store. Now, granted, it was a small store. It is a small store, but they had no number of customers that they were allowing. It was just if it looked too crowded or not. And these are the people that are hiding behind this so-called science. It really blew my mind to witness it. It didn't blow my mind that it was happening. It made perfect sense that it was happening, but basically the whole point of what I'm trying to get off my chest here is that I saw so many unnecessary decisions being made. The final decision that got me was, if you were not stickered, if you didn't get the shot, you had to test every 7 days, And if you failed to miss a test, you were considered inactive. And they only told the people that did not get the shots, like, they sent 5 or 6 emails out, and it was only to the people that have not received the shot at the time. So most of the other employees were not even aware that, we had to go through these things, and this was coming. And what kind of science is that? Like, it would have been one thing if they were telling everybody in the company, including the ones that got the shot, that they had to test every 7 days. If they would have done that, even though that makes no sense either, it would have made more, it would have been more logical for me to accept that. But that was not the case. And they were hiding it from everybody. They were not transparent about anything. It's a shame how much they lost their integrity. And, it's not a threat or anything like that. And, I'll never even step foot in that store again. So this is not coming from me, but I know how it works. And if you're putting negative energy into this atmosphere, it'll find you. It'll be coming back for you. Your karma will come back. And it always does. And the only job we have right now is just to not add negative energy to this atmosphere, because it's got plenty already, and we need to start adding some empathy. And that's the thing that Trader Joe's did not have at all. They did not have 1 ounce of empathy for anybody that wasn't falling in line with what they want. And, good luck, because you're not going to get leaders that way. I know, it's got nothing to do with me. I did what I had to do because I don't want to give up my integrity. I have a lot of areas that I've lost integrity in my life, and I know how hard it is to get that back. And I was not about to give it up to a company that had no empathy for me. When these emails came out about the shift, and this was in November, sorry. It was in November, right before the holidays, that, and the case was still in the Supreme Court, but they were moving forward regardless at that time. The way it was worded was basically, this is how it's going to go down. There was no if, ands, or buts. It was just, this is what's going to be, and if you want to be an employee here, this is what you have to do. Just fine. They have everything to allow them to think that they can do that. But it was very wrong, and, they lost. I know there's still people leaving right now to this day, and I left about 3-4 months ago. And I've seen examples of what they're hiring to replace the good workers. And good luck, managers, because you're going to be answering a lot of questions, because you're not going to have people that can take on tasks without having, an hour of direction to be told what to do. These people can't think for themselves, obviously. Obviously, if you're falling in line with all this, you're not thinking for yourself, because, there might be, people talk about free will, and, we all have free will, but that kind of gets a little gray when you have so much power and control out here. Can you have free will when you're being, can free will exist when power and control exist above you? I'm sure there's a better way to say it, but I don't see how free will can exist when you're in a system of power and control. Because sure, you have a choice. You can get the sticker, and you can get the shot, so you can go travel. So now that's you have free will, but that's not working. That doesn't work because you had to make a decision based off of a system that has power and control over you. So you cannot have free will in that system. Watch The Matrix and listen to the Merovingian talking to Morpheus and Trinity. Neo is in like the place. It's like the train station or something. So he's like stuck in some sort of what do you call that? Like purgatory. He's stuck in like a purgatory type environment where he can't go anywhere. And Morpheus and Trinity are trying to get him out, so they have to go find the Merovingian, who is like a god in the Matrix. And the Merovingian says to Morpheus and Trinity, you don't have free will. I'm sorry, because you're in a system that has power and control over you. So as much as people think they're making decisions for themselves, it's not easy in this type of system. And I don't know if free will exists in this system. I'm sure it does somewhere, but not in this United States. If you're a United States citizen, you probably don't have free will. And getting back to the Trader Joe's saying that they are a privately owned company and they can make restrictions based on whatever they want. Peggy Hall has a lot of good talks about that and how companies can't do that. And I want to agree with her so much because she's right. If you're basing it off the Constitution of 1700s, if you look a little further, there is the United States Act of 1871, which basically turns us all into United States citizens, which, I'm sorry, but it means the Constitution doesn't apply to United States citizen. You are a corporate entity nowadays, and if you are a United States citizen, you are a corporately owned entity. And you look into it. Tell me. It's funny because if you type that in to Google or whatever, if you type in United States Act of 1871, you could put Constitution in there too. The first thing that Google is gonna say is, does this mean you're a corporately owned entity? And it's like, oh, of course not. They try to this is the first thing. So either they're trying to get ahead of something, or so many hundreds of thousands of people have asked the question that they're just putting it out there right away to make sure they clear that up. But if you read the act and the the legislation that goes in there, it's pretty darn clear that you're a corporately owned entity. It talks about municipalities, and that's corporate. So United States, if you are a U.S. citizen, you are a corporately owned entity. That's why everything you get from the government in your mailbox, you're all capital lettered. If you look at your name, everything will be capital lettered. Your first and last name will be all in capitals. So that means you're a corporately owned entity, because that's the language of corporate. If you look at most corporate retailers are corporate entities, like, stores, it's all capital letters, right? Do you ever write your name in all capital letters? Were you ever taught to do that? Of course not, because it's not a language we use. It's not English. That's not English. So what is it? It's the language of the corporates. It's basically a type of Latin that they used for mentally challenged people back in the day because they were too stupid to know what to put capital and what to not put capital. They wrote in all capital letters because they weren't too bright, and that's exactly what the corporate entities use, because they treat us like we're mentally challenged. And you don't have to believe me or not. I don't care. Look it up for yourself. And then next time you get your mail, check out your name. Next time you get your driver's license, check out your driver's license. I promise you, everything you'll ever get from the federal government will be all capital. And that's basically what it is. It established, the 1871 Act established, the federal government into your back pocket. That's what it did. So it took away your constitutional rights. So I really wish Peggy would understand that too, because I think that would help her go even further, because now you're depending on the Constitution. Basically, yes, I know the system, and to survive in it, we have to do what we got to do. But that Constitution isn't there to protect you either. We don't need anything, as far as I'm concerned. You are a natural law citizen, and if you look into natural law and the law of the land, that's all we need to follow. Not this maritime corporate federal entity crap that we're all in. But going back to Trader Joe's, that company was a top 100 company 3 years ago. And I'd be willing to bet that company does not exist in 4 or 5 years. Or at least, it might in California. But these locations, I guarantee, will start falling. Because, one, they don't offer any outside services. You got to go inside to get everything at Trader Joe's. So they don't have any, outside pickup or anything like that. So, they don't even have a self-scan register, which I appreciated by working there. But because I like the old school. I enjoy paying cash. I enjoy talking to somebody at my cashier. I enjoy the interaction with people. I go to the bank. I don't go to the drive-up. I go inside. If I ever go to those nasty places, those darn banks. But I do not see Trader Joe's and many of these other companies, because they're dropping like flies, but I can only talk for Trader Joe's because I worked there for 10 years. And what I saw in the last 2 years was such a decline of the way they do their business. And, good luck, because you just compromised your business. Now you're a privately owned company that has to follow all these mandates that are taking money out of your pocket. So good luck with that. And it's a shame, because there was good people there, but not anymore. There's a couple of the buddies I have that are left, but they're not gonna enjoy their time there in the future, if it's even there in the future. And it's only a matter of time before the next wave of something happens and most of us aren't working at all. That's the hardest thing to figure out right now is what's sustainable going forward here. What has a future? That's the very very tricky question. And I'm really trying to figure out what has a future that I would, want to include myself in. And the only thing I can think of is, it's got to be a place that won't allow this negative atmosphere to affect it. And there's not many of those. But, how many companies have compromised what they do just so they can keep getting the money that they're owed, but that money's not going to always be there, and it keeps dropping. Will they take cash, and will there be a system, blackout? Yeah. That's all it would take for the next wave is, and I hope it doesn't happen. I really don't, because I don't know many people in America that can survive a winter without electricity. And I think if that were to happen during winter, it would probably be the worst type of winter. It would be like deathly cold. Not these last couple winters that we've had haven't been so bad. The snow's not so crazy and the cold's not so crazy. But if it was negative degrees for a week straight and nobody had electricity, America would be in a lot of trouble, because we don't know how to handle that. These other third world countries, they could take that because they understand how to survive. We don't. We would we'd be burning money to stay warm. So there was a lot more I wanted to get into, and a lot more I wanted to say about the situation I witnessed for 2 years, but I think most of you get it. And I just wanted to get some of that off my chest. I'm sure I'll have more.